Rudyard Kipling, the author, the novelist, the travelist, the observer, put it this way, and I think he's right. God's best gift is a good reporter. It really underlies the changes we've been making at Human Events. Our mission is the same as it's always been for the 75 years of its it's about 68 years, I think, of its existence. In reporting the news, Human Events is objective. It aims for accurate presentation of all the facts, but it is not impartial. It looks at events through eyes that favor limited constitutional government, local self-government, private enterprise, and individual freedom. These were the principles that inspired the founders. That's our mission. Because of our point of view, we sometimes see stories that others have overlooked or just not examined in great depth because they don't see it the same way you do. And I'll give you 3 examples or 4. Overlooked story. The administration, through an executive order, is trying to zone the ocean. The draft proposal has 150 milestones to be accomplished by next year, including a new bureaucracy with 9 regional commissions. Supporters call it planning that protects the seas. The critics call it zoning that already is holding up essential new energy production and threatens many jobs. Overlooked story. Welcome to summer and all the fun you can't have, because big government is putting more and more restrictions on activities in parks. No horseback riding in certain California national parks anymore. No walking on the beach on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. You can't go out to a certain point where they've parked their cars for years, a few cars allowed to park right near the beach. And then in Key Biscayne, no fishing. Not at one spot, but in a large area. So that's the kind of thing that people are bringing that are right here in Washington, stories to cover that are changing people's lives in different states and shows something about the federal government saying how those states should operate. Another overlooked story, don't ask, don't tell. No matter what you think about don't ask, don't tell in the military, it's worth checking out just exactly what happened to the chaplains, military chaplains, in the aftermath of DADT being lifted. It turns out that chaplains from all services are reporting pressure to stay silent about their beliefs on homosexuality. That's a story. And that, in fact, was what Hope did in this week's issue. And then finally, of course, a perennial favorite is making sense of the math. Did the economy actually grow after the Bush tax cuts, or did it not? So we have a debunker who writes a piece every single week, just taking some fact that's out there. It's not unlike the Pinocchios of the Washington Post, but just trying to make sense of this, tsunami of numbers that are constantly coming out at people in the political arguments that are being made. So there are plenty of stories from the Human Events point of view. We relaunched our print edition April 16th. We will relaunch our website, and I think I overheard a couple of people talking about websites they're going to relaunch shortly. We'll be relaunching, and it's our online usership is just, it's amazing. I think since the beginning of the year, 5 million unique users, not counting Red State, our sister website. In fact, I have one position open still for a full-time healthcare beat reporter, and frankly, it would be great if that person were in this room and you could come up and introduce yourself after the meeting. That would be wonderful. Washington is full of smart remarks. It's full of people either on TV and radio or preparing for a booking or trying to get on a show. It's full of people trying to be the next great sensation. There's nothing wrong with that particularly. Everyone on the Human Events staff knows we are camera ready at any time. But don't confuse the moment of media glory with doing the hard work of finding a story, telling it in a way that readers understand what it means to them and their future. And finally, in these rather crazy times in this profession, to me, it's still such a rewarding profession, too. My only advice is one thing. Hold yourself to your own high standard. So many media companies are still in financial trouble. They're still finding their way out. They're still pulling back. Publishers, I think, are in so many ways weaker than they were 10 years ago, and even finding good publishers to work for is a kind of a different proposition these days. That and the dislocation of the publishers. So between the financial conditions, a lot of movement among people in newspapers, the one best gift you can give yourself is to hold yourself to your own high standard and know what great journalism is and know that it is so needed more than ever today. So I did forget one thing to say about Washington, D.C. that I really love. That's the food trucks. So I'm really happy to be here, and if there's anything else, questions about human events or staff or where we're going or anything, I'll be happy to answer. John, thank you so much. Roger, thank you so much.